Welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons. What we've got here is an egg. It's called the Orphic Egg. Now, I'm not quite positively, authoritatively sure why it's called the Orphic Egg. I'm sure many of you will be able to post a comment on what the origin of the term. Of course, there's the mystery school of the Orphean mysteries and things like that. But that is an egg. Okay, and today, for Saturday Morning Cartoons, I'm going to talk about that egg and the adventures of this egg as it relates to what I guess Aleister Crowley would call the sexual alchemy of the Thoth Tarot. Now, obviously, this isn't a card from the Thoth Tarot. This is from our Tarot of Ceremonial Magic card. But there's other things involved there. We've got a rainbow, okay? And, you know, on a tree of life, that area just below number 6 is it's called the Veil of Peraketh, and that is shown as a rainbow, as if light itself was being fractured, okay, as it descends there from the top. But it's like the first little mini abyss, and the path that leads from number 9 to number 6 is the Sagittarius, is this card. So you can imagine that there's an arrow shooting up here to the sun in Tifereth here. But there, look, we've got the sun and the moon are conjoined. Now, sometimes Crowley calls the sun and moon conjoined, the symbol of that, the mark of the beast. The sun and moon conjoined. And right above that, you see a white eagle and a red lion. So we got some symbolism going on here. This is not your, this is the art card, number 14, which in other decks is called Temperance. And Temperance shows an angel pouring water on a fire sign and fire on a water sign, and it's very alchemical. Now, I've been asked to think about throwing together another book, and part of my going through things, what I would like to write about, I'm considering writing about this sexual alchemy of the Thoth Tarot. Haven't settled on it yet because I just haven't. But that's why I'm thinking about it. So here is some notes that I've got from a presentation that I first did in Australia. And I was going through notes, and I have a thing called the sexual alchemy of the Thoth Tarot, and or the adventures of the Orphic Egg. So, in Crowley's Thoth Tarot, trump number 6. And I think of trump number 6. It's the Lover's card, okay? In Crowley's Thoth Tarot, trump number 6, the Lover's card, is one of 5 overtly alchemical cards. We have the magus for Mercury. See how his whole body forms the symbol of Mercury with the horns up there formed by that snake. And it's the alchemical Mercury. The cross is not straight across, it's bent like that. And then there's the point at the, okay, so that's one alchemical card. The Emperor, see how he forms, with his cross leg there, how he forms the alchemical symbol of sulfur. The Empress, see how with her arms there, she not only is making the sign of Mater Triumphant, she is making the alchemical symbol of salt. Salt, sulfur, and mercury in those three cards. Then there is the Lover's card, okay. Then there is the Art card. Now, you see kind of familiar characters that that they're repeated in a couple of these cards. Now, I might add that there is another not alchemical element card per se, but part of the alchemical process. Literally all the cards are part of the alchemical process. But the very important part of the alchemical process is the generation of a gentle heat, which in a sense incubates the egg. And that gentle heat is created in the Hermit card. Not only that, but in the Death card itself, that forms that putrefaction of the Death card is like a compost pile that makes that heat. Okay, enough of that review. I want to show you something here. Crowley, as far back as 1904, because just before he received the Book of the Law, he was doing tarot divinations right there in Cairo. Okay, and the deck that he was using was the Oswald. What is it called? The Oswald Worth. Let's see, I've got one here. The Oswald Worth Tarot. Okay. Now, obviously, he didn't have a weight tarot deck to use because it wasn't a popular deck. But the Lover's card which would be that Sagittarius or the Art card, showed sort of the classic, Tarot of Marseille image of a guy making the sign of Osiris slain. Okay. For some reason, he doesn't have much of a face left. But anyway, he's making the sign of Osiris slain. And then he's got sort of a queen-like, matronly woman on one side. And, he's got two different kinds of women. This one appears to be a little more racy. Okay. Now, why she should be in green for Venus, who knows? And red over here. But it's like he's ready to make a decision. Which sexual thing should I go to? And above that is the winged arrows. Now, you may think, boy, if you make the wrong decision, man, you're going to... No, or if you are stung by my arrow, love will guide your thing. Any sort of way you would want to interpret that, you're free to. Okay. I couldn't help but see that same format repeated in the classic vignette of Osiris making the sign of Osiris there with his crux and scourge, and between his wife sisters Isis and Nephthys. And instead of the winged Cupid above him in the classic Egyptian vignette is the winged beetle. It was pretty obvious to me that that's what that was originally. Okay. And when tarot is concerned, there is no originally. Okay, it's all new. Anyway, the Lover's card in the Thoth deck, there it is right there. I'll hold it up. The Lover's card is a depiction of a 1459 alchemical document attributed to John Valentin Andrea, the chemical wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz, one of the 3 original manifestos of the Fraternity of the Rosy Cross, the Rosicrucians, where we see a dark king. There's a dark king with a golden crown, and he's accompanied by a red lion. That's like his best man at the wedding here, okay? And he's being wed to a fair queen with a silver crown. And she's accompanied by her bridesmaid, a white eagle. And between the king and lion and the queen and eagle, and positioned directly beneath the Holy Grail itself, there's the Grail, okay, look what we've got. A winged egg coiled about with a serpent. These are all classic symbols for the alchemical principles. But for a moment, let's look at the backstory to this chemical wedding. Let's start by looking at the 3 alchemical cards that represent the alchemical elements of mercury, sulfur, and salt. So the magus is mercury, emperor's sulfur, and the emperor's solar redness may have something to do with that red lion, okay, at the wedding. And the empress is salt, whose silver lunar crown and white pelican might have something to do with that white eagle, who was the bridesmaid at the queen in the art card. It's hard not to get ahead of ourselves when talking about all this alchemical stuff. The lovers in the art card, okay, the lovers and the art card depict the alchemical operation, or we could say the alchemical process of solve et coagula. Okay. Dissolution and coagulation, like when you bake a cake, okay? Dissolve the dry elements, flour and sugar, in wet ingredients, milk and eggs. Then using a gentle heat of the oven, coagulate the batter into a new entity, a cake. The lovers and the art card also represent the zodiac signs of Gemini and Sagittarius, which are exact opposites on the zodiac. In other words, all of the opposite signs on the zodiac, in a sense, are joined. They're just poles, they're just ends of a single pole. So they go together, they don't exist without each other. Just like you can't draw a straight line. Even if you draw a straight line up, you've already created the bottom. Draw a line from a point to above. I'm sorry, you've created a below at the same time. Okay, same thing with this going on. Okay. We'll also learn that the winged egg that is attending the wedding in the lover's card, okay, appears in the art card as the large egg behind the angel. See that? See how big it's gotten? And what's taking place there inside or outside of that egg is really trying to show us what's going on inside that egg. And something's coming to a head because our red lion has turned white and the white eagle has turned red. And the magic potion that did that was the watery silver cup pouring on the lion and the fiery lightning going on the water symbol, the eagle, or the male and the female, have turned into their opposite at a glorious moment. And that, I don't know if you can see the death's head. There's a skull with a raven on the top. That's the death card, heating all of that stuff up. But I digress. Okay. We also learn that the winged egg is attending the wedding at the lover's card. It appears in the art card as a large egg behind the angel. In the art card, the egg is almost ready to hatch to new life. But a lot must happen between the solvae and the coagula. I now refer to these 5 cards as being overtly alchemical, but in truth, all the trumps could be called alchemical. For represented within the 22 trump cards are 3 primitive elements, 7 planetary, and 12 zodiacal trumps, all representing directly or indirectly their own alchemical processes. But for our purposes, we're going to focus on a particular alchemical process, which I call the adventures of the Orphic Egg. Now, in the Thoth Tarot in particular, I mentioned just a couple days ago that when Crowley and Harris first met, it was her wish that Crowley, at the end of his life, there, very late in life, that Crowley encapsulate everything he knew about everything into one last super book, okay, which eventually became the Book of Thoth. And at that time, Crowley was trying to, I guess, synthesize all of his magical career, all of his Enochian experience, his Golden Dawn experience, his evocation experience, all the different techniques and arts of magic that he had pursued his entire life. How would he say this is the creme de la creme? This is I'm grasping a bigger picture here. And he was most impressed way back in the 19 teens about this alchemical process. We would call it sex magic today, or a form of, you know, clumsy Western tantra, you know. But he was fascinated by it. And when the light bulb went off in Crowley's head about what it really is, and it's not about orgies and baby sacrifices and shit like that. It's not anything like that at all. But it does utilize the natural forces that are coursing up and down all of our spines, okay? Once he got a hold of that, he thought, okay, this is the big story. This is the scoop, as the newspapermen would say. The human body is already functioning as a well-equipped alchemical laboratory, and the dynamics of human sexuality is a powerful creative dynamo that operates in multiple dimensions and levels of consciousness. On a biological level, right here on the physical plane, we most commonly see the dynamics of this magical dynamo at work in our drive to experience ecstatic pleasure. And for the important creational job of perpetuating our own species. But, and this is a cosmically big but, we've met a few of those, and this is a cosmically huge but, the creative potential is not limited to the physical plane and human baby making. Indeed, it can and does create alchemical babies on other planes of consciousness and existence itself. Would you like me to repeat that? The creative potential is not limited to the physical plane and human baby making. Indeed, it can and does create alchemical babies on other planes of consciousness and existence itself. Applied with focus and magical intent, the same divine electricity that vivifies our natural physical impulses to perpetuate our species can be directed to bring life to other creations on other levels of existence. Turning the lead of your head into the gold of Godhead. Now, when I presented this, I said, I hope you won't be too disappointed when I tell you that this workshop will not be a titillating tutorial on the techniques of sexual gymnastics. Instead, we will examine and try to understand how the magician, Aleister Crowley, and the artist, Frieda Harris, attempted to illustrate a simple, universal truth that can be summarized like this. When one's self is dissolved in ecstasy, it becomes in that timeless moment the all. And when one is the all, one is capable of creating anything. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I don't know if I can actually dilate that and expand on that particular workshop. We'll have to see. But anyway, I thought I'd at least share that part, because if you didn't read anything else, that sort of lumps the whole thing in one little summary of what it's all about. Anyway, until tomorrow in Sunday school, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.